Hello, right, what I've got here is a substance I've created. It's for use with Marmoset and it's how I do my eyes. This might not be the best method or the cleanest method or whatever, but to get it works for me. So yeah, it'll be freely available. I'm just going to hand it out because anything that makes somebody's life easier, go for it. Excellent. So here's one of the results that I've got with it. I've got the intensity a bit too ramped up on that, but we can do something very quickly to reduce. Helps if you're on the right controls. So you can reduce that really easily. So here's a quick example of how quickly I can go in. As you notice, I don't have to go into Photoshop. I don't have to keep jumping back and forth. So this is where the power comes from using this sort of system. So I'm going to go through it. A lot of what I talk about, well, a lot of what is incorporated into this is from this presentation. It's from GDC in 2013. I've tried to get as much of the stuff in there as I physically could. So you can download the whole slides on it. A lot of good information, lots and lots of good information in there. So I recommend going through it and having a look. And you'll start to get what I was trying to replicate, really. It's all procedural, so there's only one part that isn't procedural, and that's the veins, which at a later date I really want to sort out, but for now it does the job. You barely see them anyway. Yeah, so what I'll do is I'll go through into Maya. I'll show you how to set just what it needs to work at a base level, how the UVs need to be set so it doesn't become awkward to sort of move your iris about and things like that. Because if you get that wrong, it becomes really confusing, but it's really easy. Okay, so let's go over to, oh, by the way, I'm using a laptop that's 3 years old, so any slowdown, I'll try and keep Marmoset as small as possible, but any slowdown and such, that's probably why. And also my mic is about 10 years old. Again, just bear with it. If you don't understand anything, just send me an email, ask me a question. I'll put all the links to stuff that I mention either on my webpage or I'll put it on the threads or wherever I stick this. So yeah, let's go. Where's Maya? Right, hello. Right, here we are in Maya, but you can use whatever package you want, 3ds Max, Modo, a Blender, God knows what, whatever you use you can do, as long as you can create a sphere and UV map it. That's all you need to do. So sphere, whoops, let's not try the NURBS, let's try something that will work properly. There we go. So drag that out. I'm not going to adjust any settings on it. For this demonstration, you can do whatever you want. The only thing I am going to do is make sure it's pointing down an axis for ease, really. The size of this will be, depending on your character, it can be any size, any sort of rotation, anything like that. The main thing comes when you're doing UVs. So that's all you want from that. Next we're going to create a UV map. So create a planar map. We want it down the x-axis, which you can see here. So down the x, and just hit apply. So that'll do that. Next I want to flatten it out to try and minimize my stretching. So what I'll do is create a cut down here. So edit UVs, cut my UVs, go into not object mode, go into UV mode, grab the front set, and I'm just going to expand to select that whole shell. To do that, I press Shift and right arrow bracket key thing. Right, and then I will go on to, I want to have a look at the smooth UVs, make sure the borders are pinned, just check it off, check it back on. So that's pinned, UV space, unfold. That's it. And we'll do the same on the back of it. So grab the shell, unpin, pin, so that's now pinned, and then unfold. So that's overlaid your UVs. That's all it is. Some people delete the back for geometry's sake, that's fine. You can do whatever you want. Or they may lay out the UVs slightly differently, that's fine as well. Whatever you really want. The main thing is just make sure that up is up, down is down on your UV map, left is left, which it isn't, but left and right isn't particularly important, it just swaps the controls around. So left will be right, right will be left. So what you could do is rotate that round, it doesn't really matter. And that's it. That's all you need to do. And then after that is just select your object. Oh, you can make two of them if you really must. There you go. Done. But that's it. You don't need to make a cornea. We can do that in Marmoset by just duplicating it and assign a different shader to it. Nice and easy. Yeah, so that's that. It's just the file, export selection, export as OBJ. Done. So let's go back to Marmoset. In Marmoset, it's where the stuff happens. So first things first, you want to take your eyes and just drag them in. Very, very quick, very, very simple. These are actually ones I made a little bit earlier, so I just need to rotate them. So they're actually pointing down the right way. That's cool. So first things first, let's just name the mesh as eyeball. Eyeball, and we want to name this as just eyeball. That's it. That'll be whatever material you want. The way the substance works, it will place maps for you. To get it to work as I've intended it, you want to change your normal map to parallax map. This is just for the eyeballs. Gloss, I've set it up so it is a PBR shader. What that means, well, it's the physically based, so cancel. If you come down here, your specular map will be such and such, which will be nice. So your specular map will actually set it to a sort of skin, which is around about 50. It'll place that map in there. I don't actually know what the actual value is, measured value, but it's roughly 50, based on skin anyway. So I'll add that in for you. You don't have to do that. For the eyeballs, I generally tend to set it to skin. It just gives it a softer fall off, and also I just move all these down, and I'll just leave that as. You can go in, you can play around with it, you can add more, but substances don't work with these channels as of yet. I'm hopefully the guys will sort that and get it all working properly, but for now it doesn't. So I've had to make do with a emissive, just faking that with a bit of emissive, so you can enable the emissive map as well. So we click down in extras, which is down here, and click substance, and then we want to open our substance. So there we go. So that's loaded it in. So you've got a map there, you've got a height map. Don't worry that it's red, it does that. I haven't got a clue why. I think it might just be a bug. That should be grey, but it still reads as grey, I believe. Same with the gloss. The gloss is loaded for you automatically. Albedo, same with the albedo. The albedo is all loaded in. Nothing has been loaded into these maps, as we can see. Specular, it's loaded that grey value in, which is nice. So that grey is actually 52, so you can just leave that set to max. And there's your emissive. One thing I would do is just change that to a sort of a ready, just to give it a little bit of depth, like there's something going on underneath. Right, so going into all these settings. So we've got your standard left and right. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention actually is your height. All corneas sort of do that. Again, if you bring up the presentation, I'll be in here somewhere. Yep. Where is it? Eyewitness, witness gloss. Probably should have found this before. No. There you go. So you get that sort of slight bend coming back out. So what I've done is I've added that in. So all you need to do is set, there you go. So that's your depth. Just bring it back. You get a slight, using parallax maps, you get that slight look of like it's been refracted. Don't worry, it's not shiny. We'll get to that. We'll get to the corneal layer. So now you can do your left and right to position that. This is why UVs had to be up and down, left and right. It's just so you can get them left and right. That's the only reason. Iris scale, self-explanatory, so you can adjust that and that. Eye aperture, there you go. And very quick, very simple. The cornea normal intensity, we'll get back to that. These are all to do with the cornea, or the shiny layer. The iris noise is, and I may move that iris noise up here for the final release, or below, maybe below. So iris noise, it's just how noisy, how much information's in there. Because it's all procedural, this is actually updating all the maps, so that's your normal maps being updated as well. If we go back up to here so we can actually see what's going on, you can set the size of the maps it's using. The bigger, the slower it'll be, but you'll be able to see, there you go, that's that noise. So you can add more variation in there. I'm just going to reduce it down to 512 because my laptop doesn't like it. So that's there. And we'll reduce the eye scale down a bit. So that's the iris scale even. There we go. Iris colour. So we can see this better. We'll just set everything to white because then we've got nothing interfering. There we go. Turn spots off. Turn in a side edge. So iris colour. What's this do? What it will do is you set your base iris colour up. So you can go for blue, you can go for light blue. For this example, I like making brown eyes. So let's do brown. So that's quite a dark brown. I'm just going to move that up a bit. So yeah, that'll kind of work. That's your base colour, that's your base layer. Everything else will move off this. Next one down is your spots. This just adds variation. And you can blur the amount of spots you have. So, and you've also got the colour. You can set the colour to whatever you want. It does interact with it quite well. So maybe let's try green. Don't know. So yeah, it's quite overpowering. I might add a control in at some point to reduce and increase that, but at the moment I'm not too fussed. I just use it to break it up usually. So like add a bit of an orange in there or something, or a yellow, just to add that slight variation to it. So these are looking quite dark, so let's just move that up a little bit. That's a bit better. One thing I do sometimes do, I don't particularly like that preset, so let's do something that you can actually see what's going on. Maybe. Nah. What do I like? Yeah. Anyway, it's just something so I can see what's going on. That'll do for now. Just so I can see the colours. So you can see that slight variation. If I bring that in, I don't know if you can see it on camera. let's just up. What time are we on? 8 minutes. So let's just up these to that so we can see a little bit better. So looking nice. Iris scale. Can up and down that. Aperture we can down. So this is updating all the maps. All the maps we have in these channels are all being updated. And they're all at 1024. Except that one, I believe, which isn't. That's a standard, just I think that's 12. Oh no, 32 by 32. So yeah, that's that. Corneal intensity, yeah, we'll go past all that. So keep the spots on. Stain colour. This is a secondary sort of. This is a bigger splodge, effectively. That's randomised. So if I up that, so we've got more yellow splodges coming in. Inner ring line. So what this is on some irises, you see as you closer you get to the pupil, you'll get a different colour. So this is just that. So I set it to red. You can't see it now until I start moving this up. And can you see how that spreads out? So that's your intensity. The higher it is, the wider it comes. So if I just knock this down so my laptop doesn't break, we can get that a bit quicker. So there you go. So that's that. Let's set it to about just adding that in. Maybe something more orange. Yeah, that'll do. Rim ring intensity. This is your outside ring. Usually set to black. It's where the cornea connects on. I'm led to believe anyway. It's where it connects on, and then after there it's a sclera, whatever the pronunciation is. You've got blur for that as well, so you can blur that to sort of. So you can, if you want to do some Pixar sort of eyes, you can have that quite strong if you want. That's there. You can do more realistic. Again, we have just this is just a generic eye shader. Well, not shader, substance. So I made it flexible, but it's not overly flexible. It's not as flexible as hand painting them, but it's quick. Inside eye edge, right? This is a secondary layer that goes on top, and you can change that sort of. So it goes in and out. Again, this is will all interact with this aperture, sort of with. So you can get some quite funky effects, really. But again, you've got the colour. Oh, yeah, so you can change that colour to whatever you want. I tend to go for quite a dark colour with that, and then I'll reduce the scale. Something along those lines. I don't particularly like those stains, so let's bring that down. So I'm getting some sort of demon, weird brown eyes, but everyone's eyes are different. And then, yeah, so you can adjust that to whatever you want. Before I go into the veins, once you've got something like that, you can, if you go up here and just change this random seed, it'll randomize your eye. So if you don't like what you're getting at first, have a play, just see if you find something you like. Nice and easy. So veins, this is the only bit that isn't procedurally generated. The veins themselves, I've substance painter, particle brush, dab, done, export. That's it. That's all that's to it. So you can, there's your intensity of that. So you can go really intense, no intensity. This vein center reduction, right? This is something to try and counteract the fact that it's not procedural. If you go on, what it'll do is it'll go from your iris and then it'll fade it out. It's in case you just want to have strong back here but not much up here. You've got eye redness, which brings it in from the back, and then you've got secondary eye redness, which is a slightly lighter version. So you can graduate it up. That's it. Finally, just some quick tweaks on the iris, so you can change the intensity, saturation. play around with that. So maybe make it something really saturated if we're going for some weird demon eye. Contrast, so we can change the contrast of the iris. And hue, in case you hate the colour. You can cycle through that and make something like that. That's kind of, I kind of like that. Let's do that. That's nice. And I want to just reduce the iris scale, obviously, because it's a bit big. Alright, so that's that. We're going to have it pointing forward, or you can have it pointing to the side. Let's do it to the side, just to show what this thing can do. So now you've got all that. What next? So you want the shiny layer, which is the cornea, that kind of bit. So first thing to do is duplicate. So Control D, duplicate that. You've got your eyeball copy too. Change that to cornea. So cornea. Duplicate this eyeball and set that to Corneal. And then we just want to assign that to your corneas. Right, on that, check this box down here. Check it off. It'll automatically switch it to a cornea layer, which it seems to not have done. So that will be underlying that. So if that's that. It's black so you can see what's going on. Right, so if we come back up here, we just need to change up these maps again. Change this to normal. Change this to height. The reason I'm doing this is your cornea tends to come down and then it juts out. This is a bit of an exaggeration, but it does that. So what we'll do is we'll leave that there. You might want to add some triangles in just to give it a bit more resolution. You don't have to do that, but it just helps. Gloss can stay, that can stay, skin can go to Lambert, specular can stay, emissive can go to none. We don't really want any emissive. That's fine, that's fine. Hit place textures, and it explodes. The only reason that's exploded is because it's added that displacement mapping, and we need to just drop scale down to 0. Oh no, sorry, drop scale center down to 0, and then we can just bring up the scale. So now you've got that kind of thing. We don't want that too intense, but we still want that there. And that gives a slight on the iris. As you can see, so there's two types. There's your cornea, which is the inside, and there's the sclera on the outside. This is good because if we go back into this, we can control the wetness of it. So if we come down, fine. So we've got wetness layer, wetness. There we go. So you can control this outside layer. It's mirror in the middle, and then you've got variation on the outside. I thought they showed a better example. Oh, yeah, so mid-wetness, so there you go, that's your variation going through, which is nice. So we can now do that. So you got in the center mirror. One thing I did change that wasn't in this was when you take the substance off, the sort of indent isn't as strong as I like it, so I've made it the ability so you can change that, and that's your cornea normal intensity, so you can increase how much bend there is in the light without increasing the size of the cornea. That's just an artistic thing, so you can have that to whatever. The eye aperture now, whatever you've got set here will be the size of that cornea. If you feel like you want a bigger cornea, up the eye aperture. They're linked. Well, they're not linked, but so you can up or down that, like so. If you want to set it back to what it is, just Control C, and then Control V. Oh, on that, just to bring it back to what it should be. Did I do the right thing there? Iris scale, yeah. Sorry, the iris scale. That's what controls that. So that's back to what it was. Same with the position X and Y. They're not linked, so if you adjust that, you're just going to have to copy the values into here. Eye aperture does nothing now. So if you got it checked off and it doesn't affect it, it's because you're either in the wrong one. There's no way to hide these, unfortunately, that I've found. Marmoset doesn't support it, so they'll be there. They just don't do anything. Scleral normal scale. This is so you can either have it quite dense or up. If you want it more than that, you can enter bigger numbers, so 700. That'll help you with your wetness setting. We'll bring this down, and then you've got your normal intensity. So sclera normal intensity is up and down, so you can increase that. Sclera roughness edge size. Right, this was something I put in just so I had a bit more control of where the sclera starts its effective range, so you can down it and up it. That's mainly because it has its own roughness, so you can make it rough or really shiny. So that's what that next one down is, and that is pretty much that's all to it. The last thing you want to do is set the transparency to add and bring the eyeball back. There you go. Nice and quick. You can go in, you can change the intensity. So now if we go change the sky to something that gives some better reflections. So you can see how that'll interact over the surface. That's still a bit intense, but you get the idea. And then you can go in, if you go into your eyeball, you can change things like the aperture. Say if it gets really bright. Anyway, that's overkill. So that's that. That's all that's to it. What I'll go ahead now and just quickly show you how I've used it in a real sort of render, and we can call it there. So right, for this, I've literally just opened my file. I'm going to show this model I set up using this ice shader to get what I wanted. As you see, there's something a bit weird going on, and this is a bug with Marmoset. So this is going to be really tricky because it's not recording as I wanted it to. So let's just turn the hair off, turn the upper body off as well. Let's try and get a bit more resolution. Right, so for a start, there's a little slight bug. When you load your substance in, it will recheck or decheck your back to default any checkboxes. So if I just click that on one and that on two, I've set this up with two eyes for a reason. It's just so I can individually control them. So there's the eye, looking pretty decent. This is exactly the same shader. Well, sorry, substance. I keep calling it a shader. It's a substance. Got the indent. You've got a little bit of refraction going on with the cornea. You've got all the subsurface. You've got the veins in there going in. I can increase them if I feel like it. One thing I will say is I think it's the right eye. If you get UV slightly weird, this will happen. You lose intuitiveness with your controls. So you can see left and right is actually diagonal. This was an error on my part, done on purpose just to demonstrate this. So just be careful with UVs. That's the only thing you can really get wrong with this. is the UVs. So yeah, that's that. What I will do is just quickly show you what you can do with substances. So let's have a look at this and bring up. This is a completely different thing. This is why I like substance really, really well. So this is a Glock I did. Looking quite nice. And if you go onto material, come down, I'm going to just drop the size of the material. Oh, no, not open. You can go and do things like increase the dirt level. See how easy that is? So you can get cool effects like that. You can introduce that into characters and things like that. You can introduce that into characters. For mud, I think Naughty Dog did a presentation recently which they showed sort of this going on, which was kind of cool. The substance will work in engines as well. That is one thing to note. So I think Unity supports it and Unreal 4. I haven't tested it in there, so it might do weird things. More likely it will do. So that's it, really. I hope that was okay, and I hope I didn't drone on. More likely would have done. Any questions or anything like that, or just want to know anything along those lines, let me know. If you want another video, let me know of anything. How to set stuff up in Substance Designer so it'll work with Marmoset. Which outputs work, which outputs don't. I can do something along those lines. Or if you find it useful, let me know. If it saves you time, let me know. Cool, so that's me. Thanks, hope you enjoy it. Oh, if you've got any improvements or any suggestions for it, let me know as well, and I'll either stick them in or make the changes. Things like eyeshadow, I can do that, but because I can't put custom maps in afterwards, it doesn't really work well, so it's not included at the moment. But if eyeshadows are something that people want, I do have it set up in Designer. You can do it, so you've got Substance Designer, ping it over and I can send you the full build file. Alright, see you in a bit.